Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, there's always so much talk about change. Every election, you need to run on a platform of change. You're bringing something different to the table. And you know, Democrats always try to use this angle, and they certainly tried it with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris represents so much change, even though she's part of the exact current administration that voters are looking to change. And so essentially, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that there tends to be this talk of change, but then the status quo remains the same. Real, genuine change and reform is something that's rare in the world of politics. Not only is it a hard thing to deliver, but it's generally something that politicians seem to purposely try to avoid. They don't want to rock the boat, even though voters probably want that more than anything else. And well, yeah, you probably guessed where I'm going with this. It seems like for the very first time in a very long time, actual, genuine, real change is coming. Donald Trump is simply doing it different. He's promising real change to Washington, real reforms. And frankly, I think it's starting to get, well, maybe just a little bit too epic. I told you guys that Donald Trump is the real deal. If he says he's going to do something, he means it. And he's been making a whole lot of promises, claiming that he's learned his mistakes from the past, and he's approaching this next administration with a whole different outlook. In other words, real change is coming. Let's have a conversation about that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Okay, so let's get straight into it. There seems to be a very big difference, a stark contrast, you might say, between 2016 and 2024. Back then, the GOP establishment did everything in their power to block Trump's agenda. In other words, Trump was promising change, but the swamp creatures obviously didn't want it to happen, and so they essentially worked overtime to protect the status quo. But this time it seems to be a little bit different, because Trump has more cultural might than ever before. And I'd say the beacon of that cultural might has to be Elon Musk. Donald Trump's number one issue in 2016 was what? Was it Hillary Clinton and her Russia coup? Of course not. Donald Trump's biggest adversary wasn't the Democrats, it was his own party back then. Well, this time, I guess you could say Donald Trump is using Elon Musk as a little bit of an enforcer. Elon Musk is now openly threatening to fund primary challenges against any Republican in Congress who dares block his agenda. Just let that sink in for a second. The richest man in the world, a man who has built entire industries from the ground up, is throwing his weight behind Trump's vision for America. And guess what? It's already making big waves. Senator John Thune was recently elected in a secret shadow election as Senate Majority Leader. And of course, it's not the pick that the MAGA base wanted, but it seems as though even Senator John Thune is now forced in a position to play his cards right or face taking on the Goliath that is Trump x Elon Musk. Immediately after the report that Elon Musk is threatening primary challenges, Senator John Thune comes out publicly in total support of Trump's agenda. Quote, "I am extremely honored to have earned the support of my colleagues to lead the Senate in the 119th Congress, and I am beyond proud of the work that we have done to secure our majority and the White House. This Republican team is united behind President Trump's agenda, and our work starts today." It's a completely different ballgame, folks. It's real change. Now, of course, Senator Thune could be just playing an angle here, but I don't think so. I think finally their hands are forced. And some people are saying, well, Elon Musk shouldn't have this influence. He's a billionaire meddling in our republic. But I can't agree with that because Elon Musk isn't playing in the shadows, attempting to subvert the will of the American people. No, in fact, he's doing quite the opposite. He's acting as a man of the people, and he's saying very clearly to Washington that if you guys don't do what you were elected to do, we will primary you. That's not subversion of democracy. That is literal democracy. That's something that's been missing for a very long time in Washington, and what's that called? It's called accountability. For too long, Washington has felt unaccountable, as if they don't have to actually enact the agenda that they were voted to enact. Well, no longer is that the case. This year, it seems like what was delivered to the White House was less dysfunction and more a clear conservative mandate. Donald Trump is bringing change. And it's not just the cultural power, it's also the unconventional approach that he's taking with his new cabinet picks. I mean, these picks are nothing short of game-changing. I mean, I'm sure you guys have been following all the news. Donald Trump is making some picks that seem to be coming way out of left field, at least for the typical Washington insiders. I mean, he just picked a former Democrat as Director of National Intelligence. You know, nobody would have thought of that back in 2016.
Here's a statement as well from the President-elect Donald Trump saying, "I am pleased to announce that former Congresswoman Lieutenant Colonel Tulsi Gabbard will serve as the Director of National Intelligence. For over 2 decades, Tulsi has fought for our country and the freedom of all Americans. As the former candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination. She has a broad support in both parties. She is now a proud Republican. I know Tulsi will bring the fearless spirit that has defined her illustrious career in our intelligence community, championing our constitutional rights and securing peace through strength. Tulsi will make us all proud.
And now we're just learning that he's named Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. And of course, probably one of the most surprising picks, Peter Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. And of course, the Democrats are losing their minds, especially with Peter Hegseth. Immediately, the Democrat information militia comes out in force trying to smear him, trying to reduce him to just a Fox News host. But let's get real here. Hegseth is not just a Fox News host. He's a Harvard graduate, a decorated Army National Guard officer who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. This is a man that understands the reality of what's at stake for the country. A man with first-hand, on-the-ground experience, unlike these out-of-touch elites sitting comfortably in Washington. And oh, the hypocrisy of it all. It's completely laughable. Democrats have the audacity to call Hegseth unqualified while they cheerfully voted for Joe Biden, a man who can barely complete a sentence without a teleprompter, and Kamala Harris quite possibly the least qualified candidate ever to run for the office. Kamala Harris has been nothing more than a walking, talking disaster whose only talent seems to be cackling inappropriately when met with serious questions. Yet they want to talk about qualifications? Give me a break. What's happening now is a total game changer. It's actual change being delivered to Washington. No more of the status quo, the same faces coming back to do the same old job. Let's be real. In 2016, Donald Trump just picked a bunch of Bush Republicans because frankly he didn't know any better. Meanwhile, this time, he's picking people who will bring a completely different outlook. And not to mention, he's picking all kinds of young people. Young, fresh faces with fresh ideas. The status quo is finally being challenged, and it seems as though all the right people are getting their panties in a knot. The old Washington Guard is terrified because they see what's coming. An administration that won't be bogged down by the usual DC games. Trump's unconventional picks for his cabinet are proof that change is coming to Washington. Not just change as a slogan, but real change. He's not interested in placating to the old political class. He's here to entirely uproot it. And he's got Elon Musk to help him do it. And doesn't that add a level of authenticity to the whole thing? Ahead of Trump's win, there was talk of Elon Musk and Donald Trump spawning a new department, the Department of Government Efficiency, and that alone, of course, signaled the potential for incredible change, but it was always potential, right? And of course, it was speculation. Were they actually serious? Were they actually gonna do it? Well, now we have confirmation that they're gonna do it. There's an official Doge government account, Doge, of course, a very convenient abbreviation of the Department of Government Efficiency, but it's going forward, and apparently Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be at the head of the department. Donald Trump is doing something astounding. He's actually delivering on promises of change. And that's why they're melting down and already working to dismiss and diminish all the individuals who have been named. It's mostly because we finally have real challenge to power. Let's just say the Washington entrenched are probably finally really paying attention. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.